Hello YouTubers, welcome to another episode. This week we're talking about calories. This one was spurred on by a couple of questions from some members of the YAM squad, just about how many calories I burn in a week, what's that like, what do I do to combat burning so many calories. So what we're going to do is look through my Polar Flow app. Basically I wear this Polar Grit every day, pretty much 24/7 apart from when charging, and that tracks me through the day. So it's not 100% accurate, but it really does give me a consistent measure of what I'm burning, what I'm doing. I wear it for all my sessions, whether it's rowing, whether it's weights, whether it's hiking up some Munros in Scotland, whatever it is very consistent. So we're going to start with the first piece of data, the monthly outlook, and then we're going to drill down into the data itself. So we start off here in the monthly, somewhere around the screen, the monthly outlook. So as you can see, up and down in the graph there, nothing too interesting, but we have at the top, which is quite interesting, about the different types of activity. So resting, I spent 9 days in August resting, almost 10 days. 6 days sitting, almost 7 days at a low intensity, almost over 4 days of a medium intensity, and then 2.5 days at a high intensity. And these are kind of the intensities that are given by the Polar app itself. But then when we scroll down, so I average about 218% of the daily goals. So I basically set the watch to track me as a professional, and that so the percent itself isn't really any sort of guided number. It's more of just interesting to see, okay, what did I do yesterday versus today versus last week versus this week, and you can see those numbers change. And then we scroll all the way to the bottom for the big numbers. So the amount of steps throughout the month of August, 528,000, almost 529,000 steps. The distance covered with the watch, I think it's actually while not exercising, so walking around, sitting down, rolling around, whatever it is I'm doing, 427 kilometers. Then you've got your active time, so 13 days, 13 and a half days. And then the big number, calories burned in the month of August, almost 184,000 calories. And we're not actually finished August yet, so that number is going to just increase a little bit, maybe 185, almost 190,000 calories for the month of August. And that's the number we're going to kind of talk about and drill down into, the calories burned. So if you've watched the previous videos, a couple of weeks ago, went on a cycling camp with the lads from Leander, and it was really good fun, and we did burn a lot of calories on that week of that cycling camp week. So we're going to go to that week right here, back to, so it was a couple of weeks ago now, and here you can see quite a lot of different percentages. So as we saw for the month of August, the average was about 218%, and as we can see at the top of the graphs here, 362% on the first day of the cycling camp, and then you have little dots at the bottom which mean how many activities were recorded that day. So 1 or 2 activities. We'd really only cycled Monday to Friday, and then even on the Sunday there's 2 orange dots, and those 2 orange dots mean that I have had 2 inactivity stamps. So I think it's you sit for more than an hour, do nothing for more than an hour, and it gives you a slap in the wrist essentially. But I think I was okay to sit for more than an hour, according to this, twice on the Saturday or Sunday even, because of the previous days. So as we can see, Monday and Tuesday were about the same. We went out, cycled a good amount, probably roughly the same amount of time, and they're over almost 400%. But on the Wednesday, that was a big day, 500% of the activity. And we'll drill down again into the actual numbers of those days, the calories of those days. But as you can see, I do more, the percentages increase, which is very, very obvious. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a lot of calories burned. And remember the Friday, which I'll talk about later, obviously it takes a dip after that 500% day. Then Saturday, Sunday, went home, drove up from the Mowcop Castle up here, so didn't really train on Saturday, it was a day off, or didn't really train on Sunday either, actually. So no training Saturday and Sunday. So which actually unfortunately brought the average of the calories down. As we scroll down to the bottom, we can see the steps through the week, 174,000. Distance covered, 158k, and that's definitely 158k outside of the cycling, because otherwise that would be quite a lot higher. Active time, almost, or 3.5 days, and then almost 47,000 calories burned through this week here. And as I said, those 2 inactivity stamps. But what's really interesting is the differences in those days. So let's look at the highest day we'll go to. That's Wednesday, 12th of August. As we can see here, I have my resting heart rate, or what I take as my resting heart rate, the lowest heart rate that my watch records during the night. You can see that on the right side, that blue 46. And that, some people say that's not your resting heart rate, other people say that's a good measure, but I believe that as long as the measure that you record your resting heart rate is consistent, you can see how you recover, or how your recovery is. For me, it's been really, really handy to wear this watch and see the fluctuations in my heart rate, and I've actually hit my lowest heart rate recorded that I've ever seen. I think it was 34 last week. I was a week after the cycling, which is really, really interesting, because I think 35 was the lowest I've seen before that, and that was when I was at university in the States around 6 years ago. So really interesting numbers there. And then obviously 46 is quite a bit higher than that. And it's really interesting because the days before this, if we go back to the Tuesday and the Monday, big days. A lot of calories burned on those days. So the Monday, 8,000 calories. On the Tuesday, again, same, 8,000, just shy of 8,000 calories. And then we go to that Wednesday, just shy of 10,000 calories on that day with one cycle. Yes, it was a big cycle, but we can see that a lot of calories are being burned. But as we can see as well, so the low heart rate for the Monday, 37, doing work, doing a lot of exercise, getting quite tired, then 38, then the next day 46. So I can see my body is really feeling the fatigue and really trying to recover. And this is what happens generally when you do a lot of exercise, put your body under a lot of stress, your resting heart rate can increase. So I really recommend, if you don't look at the number, if you're lucky enough to have a watch that records your heart rate consistently throughout the night, wherever it is, then just keeping a little eye on that heart rate when, say, you are trying to proceed and work out and do consistent work, then if it is fluctuating greatly, probably something's going on if the watch or whatever it is you use to record is recording consistently. Sometimes you can wear a watch and it might during the night slip slightly and then it records 100 resting heart rate, which hopefully if your normal is around 60 or 70, then 100 is hopefully wrong. But if that's correct, maybe it's time to take a look at that. So back to the calories. Like I said, the Wednesday, 9,500 calories. Thursday, 6,500. Friday, 6,000. So if we look over those Monday to Friday days, so we have 8, basically 10, we'll take 6 and 6. So 6, 12, 22, 30, 38,000. So almost 40,000 calories in 5 days. And then again, we go back to the weekly view. So it's 47,000 calories. So if I did it more consistently, I would probably be able to hit over 50,000 calories on that day. And if we look back at the weeks, it depends. Obviously, the cycling camp was a pretty big week, but as we look at the Thursday and the Friday, we did much less work than on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. A little overcooked on the cycling camp, and this is kind of where I want to talk about as well. Some people see myself or whoever it is saying, I've burned 10,000 calories today, I burn on average 5,000, I do this, I do that, and then they think I'm going to do that and then really struggle. You can burn those 5,000 calories for 1 day, for 2 days, for 3 days, whatever it is, but then over time they forget that you have to fuel the body, because remember, food is fuel, food can be calories, and then you burn a lot of those calories, you need to put those calories back in. Obviously, it's a little more complicated than that with all the different nutrients that you gain from food, but very, very basic. If you don't put in the calories into your body that you're burning, you're going to struggle. This could be in small ways to start with and then drastic ways eventually, or drastic ways to start with. It can vary from person to person, from losing weight to start with, which could be something you want to do, or if you're really underdoing it and you're really sort of maybe 2,000, 3,000 less than you're actually burning, then it can really just head into trouble sleeping, really strong fatigue, tired all the time, all of that stuff. So obviously, depending on what your goals are, what you want to do, it is a good idea to make sure you are fueling your body correctly. And some people hate calorie counting, which I completely understand, but the idea of making sure you fuel your body enough is the point of what I'm trying to say. But what works for me might not work for you, and like I've always said, trying to gather as many opinions, as many different studies, as much experience as possible from other people, from yourself, and then gathering that together and seeing what works best for you. So back to Polar Flow, we'll go to the Wednesday workout and the cycle itself. So this was a big cycle, I remember that as it loads here. Called it Long Boy 1. It was 4.5 hour cycle with a bunch of stops in there for snacks, etc. With 4,335 calories burned. So on that day, there was a need to fuel the body greatly, especially if we wanted to go out the next day and get a lot of cycling in. And for us who are cycling there and burning this many calories, it's a case of just getting in as much food as possible, which sometimes can be difficult to get the right amount of nutrients in as well. It's so easy to grab a Domino's pizza. It's so easy to get some fast food. It's so easy to get the unhealthy foods to get those calories in. And I've fallen victim to this before and thought I have to only eat calories and that's all I need. Sometimes there's a lot to be said for that, but other times getting those nutrients is almost equally important as getting the amount of fuel in. So really, really basically that's it on fuel. Getting that balance right and getting enough fuel for you in. And how does it feel to burn that many calories or this many calories pretty much every week? Well, it kind of depends on the time of week, what you're doing consistently, what you're used to. That week, the cycling week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, was very, very tiresome. Especially that Wednesday with the long cycle in it. It meant that I was really struggling to get the fuel in to be able to recover for the next day, and on top of that, not being used to cycling so much and then just trying to recover quicker. If it was on the rowing machine, it might be a little bit of a different story, but it wasn't. It was on a bike, and it was just great to have that variation. But again, just body, different changes, a little bit of variation, and trying to, okay, how can I recover that little bit faster? So obviously little things like hot baths, cold baths, etc., ice, lots of different foods, keeping hydrated, obviously, which came into play much more as we needed to fuel ourselves. On Thursday and Friday, Ed and I in particular took it much more easy than the other guys. They went full steam ahead and managed to complete the whole camp. On one of the cycles, Ed was a support vehicle, so was taking in the scenery. I ended up doing about half of the cycle and getting in the support vehicle. Ended up getting some awesome shots of the guys cycling, but also realized that it was great views, great cycling, but I was going really slow. I had a great half cycle in so far, but what would I enjoy better? What would I get more out of myself mentally and to a certain extent physically? Either sitting in the car with Ed, getting some films, having a chat, or just struggling through the rest of the half cycle. Well, I thought to myself, it would be really good to get some film to make a better video. It would also mean if I stayed on the bike, I would really dig myself into a hole. If I got in the car, I would be able to actually rest some more and not dig myself further into that hole, meaning it'll take me longer to recover. And as you saw from the heart rates at the start, going from 37, 36 to 46 over the 3 days, it's only going to keep climbing if I'm not giving my body that opportunity to recover, which is absolutely massive. So Monday to Wednesday it was feeling really good, and then just starting to fade. And then Thursday, Friday was a case of, okay, I'm holding on, the legs are burning, the tiredness is kicking in earlier, going up the hills, instead of being able to just keep going, it was, okay, I need to slow down here and just gradually get there. But eventually we did get there, and then I just got in the car. But that will be it for today's episode, Yam Squad. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and hopefully it's a little bit of an insight into sort of the calories that I burn. I might make a video of how many calories I can burn. And with the experience of doing, say, the 100k or burning 10,000 calories in a day, I've got the experience a little bit to see if I can extend that to 2 days, 3 days a week. If I can do 10,000 in one day, can I do 10,000 every day for a week? 70,000 calories? I'm not sure. Maybe that's another video to do for another time. Let me know in the comments below if you would like to see something like that, some challenges. I'm really excited for the stuff coming up and just having that opportunity to get a little bit of variation in the channel. So again, let me know not only if you would like to see the challenges, but if you have other ideas that you would like to see on the channel. And that will be it for today's episode, Yam Squad. Hopefully you have enjoyed it, and I will see you in next week's episode.